Hi everyone. Welcome to hopefully a renewal of my live stream. So after a lot of technical issues, I recently moved over to the Windows platform from a MacBook. And so far all my tests have been very successful, and performance of the streaming platform is much better. So hopefully the stream will live up to the quality expectations I have for it. This means that I'm planning on making this again a very regular occurrence. So the current plan is to stream several sessions weekly. I will, at the very least, do one session of this personal homepage project on Fridays. Planned time slot is 1 hour earlier than it is now, so I will plan to do it from 4 p.m. CEST to 6 p.m. CEST. So today it's a bit of an exception. So I'm starting a bit later, but I'm also maybe streaming a bit longer today. I'll have to see. But the general plan is to do this session on Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. CEST. I will do another session weekly about WPCLI, the WPCLI office hours on Wednesdays from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. CEST. So in between, I might do random stream sessions as well, but at least those two are the ones I plan to do regularly with a fixed schedule. All right. So what's the current status of the project? After a lot of technical issues with the streaming, everything basically just bogged down. So now that I'm on Windows, I will need to first move over the project to this Windows machine. The development on the Windows machine is a bit different. Windows has added the new Windows subsystem for Linux version 2, which basically adds an actual Linux kernel to Windows 10. And you can just install a regular distribution like Ubuntu onto this kernel, and it will do 100% exactly what the same distribution would do on the server. So for development purposes, that is perfect. The only caveat is that although the integration with Windows is magical in quality and there's lots of surprising bits that work as expected, it is still development that is basically happening across two different machines, because the Ubuntu machine is not the Windows machine. Although they are integrated, there are a few things that that you need to take care of. For example, anything related to networking needs to take into account that these are two different machines, and so the communication needs to be set up properly for that to work, depending on what you're trying to do. So if the Ubuntu machine, for example, serves a website on your local host within Ubuntu, this local host is not the same as local host in Windows. So although the Windows subsystem for Linux version 2 does a lot of things behind the scenes to make that as seamless as possible, not everything works out of the box and needs additional setup. That being said, let's just jump right into it and see how well this works. So first of all, let me exit out of here. So this is a Windows 10 system. It is actually Windows 10 Home Edition. I haven't yet upgraded to Pro. I meant to do that immediately, but found out that so far I don't really have the need for it. So I might just stay on Home version if there's no compelling need to upgrade. Because the main reason why you would need the Pro version for development would be that Docker needs Hyper-V to run several containers on Windows, and Hyper-V is only part of the Pro version. However, with the new Windows subsystem for Linux version 2, Docker can use the WSL2 based container engine. So the containers run natively on the Linux kernel that Microsoft has built and integrated into Windows. As they run natively on that kernel, you don't actually need Hyper-V, and therefore you can just use as many containers as you want, even in the home version of Windows 10 with that new setup. So I use the new Windows Terminal. That's a pretty new offering from Microsoft. So it's pretty bare bones so far. The performance is good, but there's a few features I've been missing already. So I might at one point either change to something else or, I don't know, see if it's extensible or something. Because right now it does what it's supposed to do for basic shell usage, but what I'm missing a lot is being able to click on links within the terminal, which is not included and apparently is not even a high priority item for them to implement. Let's start the Windows terminal. Well, it actually started now in the other window. Can I get it to start here? No, it will always start in the other window. I want to show how fast the startup is, but doesn't really matter. So this is basically, wait, let me, what is, so I'm running Ubuntu, the latest LTS version. That works out fine. And it, what was the, let me think. Kernel. No. How can I get the kernel name? I'm really bad at remembering this stuff. Probably from proc somewhere. And that could be. Actually, none of these. Can I get it with uname? I just want to uname as maybe more information. Uname SR. Yeah, there you go. So as you can see, this is a Linux kernel, but it is one that was built by Microsoft. So this is not a Hyper-V virtual machine that then runs Linux, and it is also not like the first version of the Windows subsystem where there's a translation mapper in between. So the first version basically translated Windows commands into Linux commands and Linux commands into Windows commands, and that meant that everything was pretty slow actually. But here, I have to say so far I've been impressed with the speed, and it works really well. As long as you stay within the file system within Linux. So you can actually access your regular Windows file system via the mount points, but that will drastically slow down everything if you store your files on there. So ideally, you'll stay within the Linux file system. So do everything internally and use Windows via the network to connect to the Ubuntu machine. So let's create a new environment here. Let me just check whether I actually committed the code on the Mac. Not at all. I'll just quickly commit everything. That did not work. Oh, my aliases are incorrect on the Mac. So currently I'm trying to set everything up to set my .dot files up so that they work across the Mac and the Windows and the Ubuntu system. Well, at least the Mac and the Ubuntu system, but that is not completely polished yet. So some things work, some things don't. GPG is failing. Okay, let me see what the actual changes were. I think we didn't do much yet last time. No, let's just pull it as it is. So first of all, that would be this. That seemed to have worked. Okay. Yeah, so as you can see, in general, the speed is really good. It's very responsive. When you type something, everything is instant. Well, now Composer is downloading, of course. I haven't yet installed the parallel downloader for Composer. I might actually do that. Let me see, that was Composer Prestissimo. Let's do that. That is a plugin you can install into Composer that turns the downloading from serial downloading into parallel downloading. Let me just kill the vendor folder and the Composer log file. And now do a fresh run. So there you can see these extra lines here. That's when it downloads everything in parallel to get the latest update from Composer, which is much faster. Okay. So now we have our file spec on this Ubuntu system. Okay. I don't have an .n file yet. DB name, DB user, DB password. Okay. So first of all, we need a database. What I did is I created a script, which is not called like that, but rather like that. So this basically creates a Docker container named MySQL8 if it doesn't exist, and if it already exists, it just starts it. Because we need a database to work on with WordPress, of course. The important bit here is that I'm actually mapping a volume here in my home folder to the internal folder from MySQL. This makes the database persistent. So if I wouldn't do that, then if I destroy the container and rebuild it, then the data would be gone. And every time I would have to populate it freshly with data. With this, the actual data is stored outside of the Docker container, but that's important within the Ubuntu system, so that it keeps the speed of this new subsystem. Here's the port mapping. That's important to know. And yeah, here you can see I've already set up environment variables for my WPCLI work, and I can reuse this. So this is the important one. Now edit my .env file. Database name, well, that would be ASV3, root, no password, and then db host equals so and so. As this doesn't work with the socket, but rather with TCP connection, let's make sure that it actually tries to use TCP connection. So if we now do wpdb create, it doesn't work. It can't connect. Okay, so it doesn't seem to use the correct port here. We need to provide the port separately, probably. Let's see if we can do that here. I don't see a port in this config file. Did I actually run the script? My shirt does weird stuff. Yeah, that's probably not a good shirt for streaming. Sorry about that. That's a shirt with HTML on it. I'll try to remember that for next time. So I think I didn't actually launch the container. Okay, so now let's try the db create again, and it works. As you can see, we now created, started a new container and then created a database in it, and the response is pretty much instantaneous. So in terms of performance, it really is great. Yeah, Jeremy, it seems to work that way. It was just the problem was that it didn't actually execute the script, so the database wasn't launched. So that was the entire issue. Okay, now we have created the database. We can do a core install. Let's does WSP starter take care of that? I don't think so. WP plugin list. No. URL will be ASV3. Yeah, I don't have host mapping yet. I wonder if I shouldn't actually use a Lando environment right away. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so scrap this. I will actually create a Lando environment for this. Let me just think how best to set that up. Let's move that out of the way first. Git clone. So Lando is well, if you use containers, you can pretty much do everything with containers in Docker, and Lando is a development environment that allows you to use the full power of Docker, but for the 80% use cases, it has built-in defaults and automatic services and so on, so that you only need to deal with the full power of Docker if you have some advanced use case. So for regular stuff like just getting an Nginx server with PHP and a MySQL database going, it's basically a few lines and then you get to go. So I cloned this repository. That's the one I've been experimenting with, which provides a WordPress environment where you can easily install plugins and themes into, but it includes WordPress source as well. So we're always working against WordPress trunk. Whether that makes sense or not is not a thing, but right now I want to just get quickly going so that we get to the actual work with the site. Now we'll have this repository. So basically the way Lando works is that you have a Lando file and that defines your environment. So you can see here that this has a name that we will change. It's based on the WordPress recipe and it has .env files and a bit of automated tooling here. Okay, so let's edit the Lando file to change the name. And that will be ASV3. And then we'll change this. Let's stick with latest PHP. Latest PHP unit. Well, this one is actually not compatible with. Yeah, I don't care too much. We can probably remove this. And we'll have a look at the install dependencies to see what they do. Okay, looks good so far. Let's start PHP Storm. By the way, the Ubuntu file system is also accessible from Windows, just as the Windows file system is accessible from Ubuntu. The Ubuntu file system is accessible via a special network share that starts with WSL $. And then the name of the distribution, in my case, would be WSL $Ubuntu for the network share. Let me just open the right files. Whoa, that's a big readme. So this is the file we've been editing. And here we have in the public folder, we have a place for plugins. However, however, we want to use WP Starter, so we'll probably have to change that around. Here's the setup WordPress. That's probably not what we need. Yeah, core dev, don't need that one. What do we have here? This one we also don't need. What does it install? Node, yarn, zip subversion. Well, we certainly don't want subversion. And we can stay with npm actually. No need to install yarn specially. Yeah. No. Okay. This is probably only needed for the yarn key, so no need for that. So where is the public set? Webroot public. Okay. So I'll put in space. I probably want to have the webroot here and then pull then pull files from here in. So this is not needed. I actually want to use this. That will be created. That already exists. Let's see what that does. So first of all, let's do compose install to make sure we can populate the files. And then we'll try to get this to work within Lando. The advantage of using containers is, of course, that you can easily replicate this environment on any other machine. So now that we have our webroot here, let's do Lando start. Now you can see Lando doing its work. It starts a proxy container and then creates the different containers for the different services that that are configured, and the proxy server maps the webroot to a domain that we can use. So instead of always needing to use an IP address with a port, we can actually have our website name asv3.lando.site. Okay, so Lando says that our site is online. Let's try. By the way, as you can see, it also automatically created a certificate for use. So this is actually looking good. It is an error, yes, but it is an error from our WP starter file. So that's actually great. So now I think we didn't have a .env file in this environment. Did I not copy the example file? Oh yeah, no, there it is. Let me just see what the .env base file says. Because we can, I think, just override that. So let's copy this into this. To start, let's assume that Lando will actually do its magic. I don't actually know whether it configures the database in that way. Let's find out. Okay. It is only looking for .env file, not for the .env base file. Yeah, that's a shame. Is that part of the? Why don't I stay in the IDE? Is that part of the config file here? Yes. We're getting further. Okay. So now we get no such file or directory in NoDPDB. We need to find out what the database settings from Lando are. I think it posted it here. No. Docker container inspect. What's it called? Database? ASV3 database. So here we see where the database is at. I think there should be something automatically happening here with Lando. Oh, yeah. That's easier. However, that is now Lando put everything into public. Or did we put it into public? Let me try. So I'll stop Lando. Then I'll remove this. See whether Lando actually requires that. No, we're still getting the same thing. That's good. In the .env file, we set the DB host to database 3306. That will then use default Docker mapping. Access denied. That's also good. DB name ASV3. DB user root without password. Can't select database. Ah, yes. That's probably not the name of the database. Let's see. Lando WordPress recipe. What are the defaults? Because that was the database I created before, but here we have the Lando internal database, of course. So I think it was using MariaDB. Configuration. MariaDB database. Let's try. Has any one of you already worked with Lando? Access denied. Host. Lando info. That seems straightforward. Ah, there we go. Okay, database. Database is all WordPress. Okay, that's pretty easy to find out. So as you can see, Lando has a lot of convenience functionality to just make all of this easier and faster than with regular Docker. Okay, we have a connection with the database. Let's see. If we now do Lando WP, we should be able to connect to the site. So when you use Lando, you can basically add all the tooling so that you can just do Lando something and it works within the Docker containers, and you don't need to figure out which Docker container to talk to, etc. So we can do a Lando WP core install -- prompt. URL would be asv3.lando.site. That would be /lesser.com. Admin user. Admin. Password. Skip email, yes. Okay, let's do another refresh. Yeah, I know. Just open the site, please. There's nothing coming here. But we can already see that we have something working. Undefined index host in the theme. Okay. But yeah, we have basically WordPress running already. Themes. ASV3 theme. Yay. Okay, that is looking good. Just to show you what we have now, let me open the Docker dashboard because it shows it visually. Yeah, I looked into Laragon briefly as well, but that seems to be more of a Windows-specific solution. And with Lando, it seems that yeah, it's just a universal solution that I can use on Mac, on Windows, on Ubuntu, everywhere. Sorry about that. Only good things with the resolution. That's also the reason why I'm currently only streaming at 30 frames per second, because I could now easily stream at 60 frames per second. But as Twitch does not automatically scale down, it would just further double the bandwidth need for everyone watching the stream. So sorry if it's if you have trouble with the bandwidth now. Hopefully I'll be affiliate soon, and then that will go away. I think it's only for partners, though, not for affiliates, that it will scale down automatically. So here you can see my Docker dashboard. So first of all, we don't need this one anymore. We can stop it. This is the proxy that Lando is generating, which takes all the traffic from localhost. So this is HTTP, this is HTTPS, and accepts that and distributes it across your Lando machines. So that it works with domains. And here we have our setup now. We have an Nginx app server, we have a database, and we have the PHP app server. I don't know why they are both are called app server. So this is Nginx, this is PHP, and MariaDB in between. So here we have the logs from the PHP side. Here we can see the error that we had. I'll have to find out what that is all about, but maybe the issue was, no, it's still there. Okay. So we have an undefined index host somewhere. When it includes the theme, so maybe something in our custom theme code, but it could also be something related to WP Starter. I have to find out what that is. You also have, here you can see the entire setup of the container, the PHP version it's running, etc., etc. You can easily SSH into one of the machines. So by default, you receive the default app server, which would be the PHP one. So here we're in the PHP container. Yeah, you can see which version of PHP we're running. All fine. Lando has other tools as well. So you can, for example, look at the logs. Here we can see, so this is the logs from Nginx. No, this is the logs from database. But we can call the logs from different machines. Now I got observer 1. Ah, there you go. This is the one we wanted. There's probably a better way of calling that. Service app server. Okay, that's the correct syntax. So now we're only getting that from the PHP app server. So this is how you can actually inspect what is going on in your machines. I don't know NixOS, Snow Crash. What is that? An index host. Let's try to find out where we're indexing host. It's not something we're using. Right, let's be more specific. We don't have plugins. Let's see if it's a problem with our theme first. No, it is not. Then let's see if it is out of a config here. No, it is not. What else are we loading? Something else installed here. So what do we have in Composer? W starter and the theme. And Codeception. And some WP-CLI commands for require def. Let's see if it goes away. If I use no def. So now WP-CLI is gone. Which shouldn't break the site. That is weird. WP starter is in here. Why does that break the site? What is missing? Oh, it resets .env name. I assume that I need the .env base. No, I probably don't need it. Let's just rename that. Rename .env. Okay. So let's see if we still have the arrow. I can probably follow this, tail this. Yeah, follow. So that would be service app server follow. Okay, now refresh. Okay, the error is gone. So it's something in our development, the development requirements. So not necessarily a problem, but I would still be interested in finding out. Let's actually create a new. By the way, here you can see the different ways of opening the terminal. We have Windows PowerShell, command prompt, Azure Cloud Shell is also in there by default. Then here we have all the Linux distributions that are added here. And I made the Ubuntu one my default one. ESV3 Composer Composer install. As you can see, it's very fast. I'm very glad about that. A snow crash, is that meant to be the image to use within a container? Like just a small distribution that takes up not a lot of space to put into containers? The error is gone, even though we have a development again. Okay, well, no error anymore. Let's not focus too much on that. Okay. Oh, nice. Package manager containerizes its packages. Yeah, I recently started creating containers to build tools as images that I needed on my machine, but where I didn't want to install the entire ecosystem. Like, for example, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I can never get Ruby to just keep working. I hate Ruby and the entire ecosystem. And every time I need to use Ruby tool, like, for example, the Travis command line tool, I already loathe it because I'm pretty sure that when I try to install it, it will just throw a lot of errors because the Ruby environment will not be properly set up. And then I spend a few hours fixing it again. And that happens to me so many times. So I just build a container that contains everything that the Travis CI needs inside of that container and has as entry point the tool itself. So you can then, with a small shell script, just use Travis as binary, but it is actually a script that calls Docker and runs a Docker container and executes the action within the container. So that works actually quite well. Yeah, even with RBEnv, it just doesn't work. I don't know why. It has been, I think, the worst ecosystem for me so far in terms of just keeping it working. Nowadays, I don't need it a lot anymore, but at one time, VVV was all the rage and everyone was supposed to use VVV. I tried to avoid it, but sometimes you needed to collaborate on projects where the entire setup was using VVV. And every single time when I tried to do something with Vagrant, I needed to fix my Ruby environment. It was always a hassle. Okay, so what I'll try now is Lando rebuild to see whether when we destroy everything. Wait, let me make sure that everything is actually destroyed. So Lando stop will just stop the containers, so they're not active anymore, but they're still stored. So if you then go into I'll show it from the dashboard. So you can actually do something like container ls to see what we have in there. So this only shows the running ones and what is the flag here. So you can see that the containers are still there, but they are all exited. There's only one active, as you can see here in the dashboard. So the proxy is still running because we might have other Lando sites, but our ASV3 Lando site is switched off. Okay, now we do Lando destroy. Let me keep this open. And that will completely destroy these. We'll also do, just for the fun of it, really erase everything. That would be unneeded. I just want to make sure that there's nothing sticking around. And so now, if we do Lando start, hopefully the site, so right now the site will not work, but hopefully if we do Lando start, we've set it up so that it will just work again. And if not, there's other stuff we need to fix. Yeah, this goes faster if you don't erase everything. I just wanted to make sure we are in a proper starting state and that everything still works. You can see that we are within Composer install now. Okay, let's try to reload the page. And it did not work. Okay, our database is gone. Which is probably to be expected with Lando, I'm not sure. I thought the database would be persisted. So we have a composer prepare script here, which does not work. Can't contact the database server at database 3306. Everything seems to have started correctly. .env is there. What does the prepare do? Ah, I actually need to do Lando composer prepare. Ah, that works better. Yeah, I know. Okay, but it erased the database. I thought that would not happen with the Lando destroy. Okay, apparently that is the files for the app will not be removed, but any database or index information will be irretrievably lost. Okay, so that is actually expected. Okay, good to know. There's also a way to export and import the database. So that would then be needed for under WordPress export DB. I don't know what to search for here. Yeah, exporting SQL databases. Lando DB export. Lando DB export. Okay. So Lando database persist rebuild. I think on a rebuild it is persisted. Lando rebuild. Yes, I think that just changes the files. Yes, that works. So a destroy actually destroys the database. So we need to export the database first and then import it again. But that's I think that is to be expected. But on a rebuild, so if you change the configuration from Lando, the database will stay intact. All right. With WP starter, WordPress is in a subfolder. Okay, what did we use here? Admin user admin. Oh, a random password. Okay. What password did it use? Where did you do that? No. So somewhere we used composer prepare, and that probably showed us what the password is. Oh, here. Composer prepare. Yeah, here it is. Okay. I want to change the domain. Apparently it doesn't work with subdomains. Oh well, figure it out later. Yeah, we have the same error here again though. Let's install Xdebug. So for Xdebug, the thing is, we can now here set Xdebug to true, but then it's always true, and Xdebug actually makes everything rather slow. So I prefer to have something to switch it on and off, which I already built for a different site, and we'll copy that from there. Here. Let's copy that in here. Oh wow, nice copy. Damn it. There you go. No, this one is okay. And then we can actually do Lando Xdebug on. Okay. Now we have more information. We actually have a stack trace. We can also do Lando WP plugin install query monitor activate. There we go. Starting to get better. I don't want to spend too much time on that now. There is some place where the code tries to find out what the current domain is. But internally on the PHP side, it doesn't come with the domain. It only has an IP address. Probably that's why it's failing somewhere. But we don't care too much about that for now. So as we can see on our Lando side, we now have WordPress running in a containerized setup where we can easily replicate this environment on different machines. which is nice. Now let's see if we can get Codeception to work again. First of all, let's add tooling for that. So tooling is Lando's term for making a binary, some executable file accessible outside of Lando, so that it automatically is run in the right server. So we'll just add, or I can just Codeception service app server, so on our PHP container. And if we don't do anything else, it just runs this within this server. If we want to change the command, we can do something else, but to just run the binary Codeception within app server, this is enough. Let's see what that does. Executable file not found. We probably need to actually run vendor bin Codeception. And I don't know if it's Codeception or Codecept. I think it might be Codecept. Bin Codecept. Okay. That's why it might not run. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Vendor bin Codecept, no such file or directory. Which folder are we in? Oh, wait. We have WP Starter set up, so that might actually be this. There you go. So as we use WP Starter, it puts a central vendor folder within WP content, not within the root folder. So as you can see, there's no vendor folder here. It is within WP content. That is because this is the part that you're meant to manage as your application in terms of WP Starter. Okay. So Lando Codeception run. URL required. Yeah, the URL. Where do we have our... Here. So what was that? By the way, sorry if I'm constantly starting to whisper while talking. I don't know why I constantly do that. Hopefully I'll at one point remember to just talk in a constant volume and loudness. But when I'm thinking, I start whispering in the microphone. Sorry about that. Yeah, here URL. So that's for PHP browser. URL would be https asv3.lando.site. Let's try. Could not be found. What about, so what is it called internally? It should actually be the same. esv3.lando.site should be in the hosts file. Why is that not the case? Oh, by the way, I now realize why Composer ran twice. This is actually not needed. We're controlling everything from the Composer JSON file. Lando rebuild. Yeah, Andre, I just have to remember all the different things I'm not happy with that I'm doing, and hopefully at one point I'll have more control over that. Most of the time you only realize that when you're looking at recordings of yourself. So now we didn't run Composer here for the Lando step. However, we should actually run it here. Well, not as root. Run Composer install. Let's see. You should absolutely do that, Andre. I think so. I was scared to start streaming because it's actually quite a lot of multitasking and you can't really focus on the actual development. And I thought that you might just look like a fool when you're stuck there on the screen and don't know what the issue is because you cannot really fully focus on it. But actually getting stuck and going through the process while rambling on and so on, a lot of people already told me that that is actually what provides the value with streaming, because seeing someone doing everything flawlessly, you can find it in all the tutorial videos and so on. But actually not getting everything to work, getting stuck and hearing the thought process and so on, that's actually what provides value. And if you would start live streaming how you contribute to WordPress core, that would also show people how to get around issues where they are blocked with contributing, like when they're stuck with SVN or don't know how to apply a patch and stuff like that. So all the stuff that you don't really see, you see the end result on track and so on. And I think it would be very valuable to see a live stream that. An area for contributing, that's a bit difficult. It really depends on what your area of expertise is, if you want to share a lot of knowledge, and what your current passion is, if you just want to do it for fun. And hopefully you get something where there's a perfect overlap. But mostly I would try to find something that's fun to you. Because if it's something you really enjoy, I think that will produce a better stream than if it's something you're very proficient at, but you don't really love doing it. Yeah, so why not contribute to Gutenberg or to the React part of WordPress, for example? If that's not your main focus, it will also mean that you will be stuck more often, and people will love to see how you get beyond these obstacles. Yeah. that was also my thought process. So not doing anything that's routine to me for streaming, but really put myself out there and just try something new. And if I become stuck, that's part of the deal. You're welcome. I sure hope to see your live stream soon. I'm already following you, so hopefully I get a notification when you go live. So what was I trying to do? Yeah, so it ran composer install now with WP Starter as part of our Lando build. So that's good. Let's see if the site still works. Session expired. Yes, I know. All right. Looks good. Okay. Lando, we still have to figure out why it doesn't find the domain here. So the module PHP browser does not find it. Lando SSH service equals app server. So now we're in the app server. Ping esv3.lando.site. No ping. Curl sees the site. Yep. So that does work. Do I have a typo in there? No. Why you no work? What does it do? What does it try to do? I have to say I'm a bit annoyed that there's so much trouble with Codeception. I'm already thinking of just switching it out for something else because I'm just wasting a lot of time here. So the etc hosts works. We can curl from within the server. However, this does not work. Last time we had a problem with the quotes, I think. I don't have quotes here. That's no. Why does that not work? Maybe someone else has the problem as well. Ah, this is Codeception, I think. That's not the same thing. Oh no, he's running. Wait. This is Codeception. I also saw Codecept now. Working the back end. No, this is just Codeception. So Codeception was initially space between HTTPS? No. No, that might look like it because I have, how do you call it? So the characters adapt for certain combinations. And the double slash, they just come closer together to provide a double slash letter. It looks indeed like there would be a space, but there's none. That's wrong. Google. Huh. Ligatures. That's the name. That's when you have a font that has special graphics for combinations of letters. You can see it very prominently here with the exclamation mark within the error. How do we get Codeception to work? So we can curl it. The PHP browser just runs on PHP, and maybe it needs to run on Nginx or do a remote call. That might be the problem. So maybe we need WebDriver or something. I don't know whether it's called that way. Let's look at the manual. Codeception documentation. What did I type there? WebDriver. So the PHP browser is supposed to be fast because it doesn't create a browser and so on, but maybe that's the problem. Maybe that only works locally. Where's the documentation? Ah. PHP browser is Guzzle and Symfony browser kit. System requirements, PHP with curl extension. Maybe the extension is missing. Let's check. PHP info grep curl. With curl. So curl should be included. Let's try. No. Not good enough. And there's not much help here to find out what is going wrong. So the requirements are fulfilled. Okay, I'm slowly starting to think that this is a good reason to start playing around with PHP Zest. No, with pest PHP. Because I'm really slowly getting annoyed by Codeception. Every time I hit a problem, there's just no documentation that helps to solve that problem. Yeah, I would like to run them in PHP, and normally, so the WebDriver would be needed if you actually do interactions in JavaScript and so on. But we don't have that here. It's just a WordPress front page, and the PHP browser means that you just get the HTML and do lookups in the HTML. And that should be enough. So he has quotes here. Let's try, but I don't think that's the problem. No. What else is different? We don't need cookies. We can do return transfer here. Oh, we actually have to set this back to PHP Storm. Not PHP Storm, PHP browser. Oh. So what did actually fix it? I have to find out what did fix it. The return transfer. No? Was it just the quotes? That is so silly. No. Huh. So what did we actually change? I think we're back at square one now, aren't we? Oh, the colon was missing. Did I already mention that I hate YAML? It is the worst syntax ever. Every time you have a single character wrong, it's not only that it doesn't work, it usually causes the weirdest errors that are nowhere near explaining what is actually wrong there. Yeah, with the WebDriver, I don't know. Probably I need to install a browser for that. Options browser. Let's just try. What could possibly go wrong? Browser Chrome, Chromium. Does it install it by itself? Can't connect to WebDriver. Do I actually want to get this to work now or not? That's the question now. I'm just curious whether I can make that work as well. So at least that works. That works within Lando. That is good. Is that the driver? Chrome driver. Browser Chrome. Do we have that? Actually, I don't know. Let's find out. Now we need to run Selenium server. That is annoying. Phantom.js. Browser. It would actually be good if it would allow us to use Puppeteer instead of Selenium. But yeah, apparently not. Oh, here with Chrome driver, we actually don't need to install Selenium. But we need to install Chrome driver. No, I think this is just an add-on. No, it should actually work like that. Let's see. Getting started. Oh, I don't want to bother with that now. Because I don't think that Chrome is installed on the Ubuntu server either. So that's probably just a waste of time for now. But let's try with Phantom.js to see whether that works without too much hassle. I've lost my place now. Here. Is it dead? I don't know. I haven't used it in a while, but I thought it would still be a thing. The website doesn't look too happy though. Oh yeah, okay. It's suspended until further notice. Yeah, okay, then let's just not bother with that. Yeah, I usually use Puppeteer for end-to-end testing, and it doesn't look like that is actually included here. It is included for Codeception.js, but not for this one. Yeah, well, if you really do need to do interactive end-to-end testing, then Codeception is probably the better bet either anyway. But here we mostly want to test PHP code. So this is about testing a theme and plugins. So I think we're fine with the PHP browser. But let's see if we can get it working again. Yay, front page works. Okay. So we're already in a good state here. Let's see what a git in your file says. Yeah, we need to adapt that. So we don't have this, but we do have a WP folder. The Lando base file is included. That's good. The WP config file is included as well. And we can override that with local files. Okay. That actually looks fine. So what would we commit now? Well, we want to not commit the database files, the database dumps. See you, Andre. Thanks for the chat. That doesn't work. What else do we have here? I think we're good now. Do we want to commit the WP content vendor folder? I don't think so. I've added another Git repository. Which one? Where does another Git repository come from? Yes, v3 theme. Yes, so that would be I think as we install everything via Composer, it should not be part of the repository. What else do we have there? I should actually look at what the default git ignore was for WP Starter. Oh. I'm currently typing on my Mac in case you wonder why you don't see changes. Okay, so the entire WP content is actually ignored. And the WP config file as well, as we have everything in .env. And we also in your local Codeception, that's what we had in the previous file. Okay, so git reset. So this is what we would be committing now. That looks good, I'd say. Oh. All right. What else? So we have our entire setup going on the new machine. We have the Codeception tests running. Now it would actually be time to set up the theme itself. Right now, the theme is based on underscores. So that's not what I want to use. Last time I already mentioned that I want to use something else. I just have to check whether this is something I can easily move over now. I actually can't remember where I had that. I'm just looking at my other machine to see where I had prepared a new base that I wanted to use. Okay, this is the one. So did I push that somewhere? No. No remote. Okay, this is not in a repository yet. Well, it is. Create. So let me just check where I'll push that. I don't think I've stored it yet. Okay. I started work on a theme in a different project, and I want to move this over and use that as the base. GPG failed to sign the data. Git skip signing GPG. Okay. My GPG key is not correctly set up on my Mac machine now. I haven't figured out a way to make this work across machines yet. Okay, that worked. Git push. All right. Okay, so let's fetch this on this computer. I'll just copy the theme in here and then we'll move everything over. Yes, there it is. So let's get rid of everything in here. We really don't care about that. In the beginning for the project, I set up a theme quickly with underscores just to have something to test the workflows with. But underscores is not necessarily something I want to start using for the theme. By the way, you can see here, this is power line 10K, and it always shows me depending on where I'm at. Here in this folder, for example, it shows me the version of Node, the version of PHP, and some other version. I don't know what this is, because it happens to detect that there's a package JSON here, and this is probably Webpack, the version of Webpack. Is that the case? No version of Webpack. I assume this is meant to be Webpack, but it's not installed. Apt get Webpack, not get. Again, you can see that this Linux within Windows is surprisingly fast. No, I don't think this is Webpack. Cannot find module resolve. The theme that I'm using now, it was a first try at using TailwindCSS and a more modern dependency injected code structure with services as a theme. I should probably not run Webpack from here. What about from here? And npm install does that too. Same thing. Okay. So I would not actually need Node to have it installed on the local machine. But I need Webpack here. Lando Webpack is another thing. Lando npm g install Webpack. I should also apt remove Webpack. This didn't work. Let's clean up. Seems to have installed a completely different version of Node. Not sure why. Node is still there. Which version did it actually install? Can't really see it. Oh well. Okay. So let's try this again. No. What does this do? Okay, fair enough. It at least executes Webpack. What happens when I run it from here? Same thing. Okay. Just faster. Okay, but we have the same thing. So there's a problem here in our Webpack configuration somewhere. Am I in the right? I'm not in the right folder. I actually want to work here. No node modules. npm install npx webpack. It will probably do the same thing, but I want to work in the right folder. Oh, right. This is set up with Laravel mix, so that might explain why Webpack on its own didn't work. Let's see, it's probably configuration. What? Yeah, that will be much faster from here. So probably we need to do something like npm run build. Yes. That's more like it. Okay, that worked. Let's see what our site looks like now. The weird error is still there. This is new. Query Monitor has a nice output now. Okay. It's not accessible or readable. Use company logo. So this is already the new theme code. However, well, it is looking for a company logo file here, and there is none. Do we have an image here? No. I don't know what the syntax is. Let's try. All right, there you go. We have a new theme. So what you see there is not live output. This is just static markup that I was using for testing Tailwind CSS. But we can now adapt this so that we can make this live and output the block. So that will be the next step. Let's look at the time. So I will stop the stream here. We have a good ending point here. I will actually push this. Commit first draft. Commit. Huh? First draft of new theme structure. Damn it. Still a bit to set up. Okay. That was not what I wanted. I have the node modules included here. Am I in the right? Okay. I think I need to adapt the git in your file here. Okay. node modules is not yet in here. Anything else? I don't think so. Rest should be good for now. Well, here the build maybe. Don't need that either. Should I keep the folder? New file. Git keep. New file. Git keep. And then sets CSS and sets JS. I think there's source map in here as well. I just clean up because I actually committed the node modules folder and the build artifacts. My commit message. Oh yeah. By the way, this is a Linux version of Sublime Text that runs on the Ubuntu machine, but is shown in a Windows window because I have an X server running on Windows, which is technologically quite interesting. All right. Let's push. I would like to know what this is. So I'll stop the stream now, and I might stream for a bit tomorrow as well, but that would then be something random, not this project. I will stream about this project again next week on Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. CEST. No, sorry, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. CEST. That's the correct one. Thanks everyone for watching, and hopefully this was more enjoyable than the last few sessions where I just had trouble even doing anything basic on my computer, and expect more regular streaming from now on. Thank you all. please subscribe to get notifications when I'm going live next, or follow me. And see you soon. Bye bye.